up? It's Richie here with Certified Football. This is week 4 of the college football season. These are just the noon games, so check out my other videos for the midday and the primetime games. Starting off with Kansas State at Oklahoma. Kansas State, they're 0-1. They lost to Arkansas State 35-31. Quarterback Skylar Thompson, 259 passing, 2 touchdowns. Defense had 3 sacks. They did put up 31 points, so they can put up some on offense. But they're facing a strong Oklahoma team. They did play Missouri State and they beat them 48-0, but it was 31-0 after 1 quarter. It was Spencer Rattler, the quarterback. He might be a Heisman candidate. 290 passing, 4 touchdowns. They put up 608 yards, had 4 sacks themselves. I think Oklahoma should be able to handle Kansas State pretty decently. Kansas State may put up points, but Oklahoma put up like 60. So I got Oklahoma there. Next thing, Florida, Ole Miss. As a Gator fan, I'm always nervous about Ole Miss. They always beat us whenever we're really, really high ranked. They have a good quarterback in John Rice Plumlee, ran for 1,000 yards. They have a new coach in Lane Kiffin who always gets offenses going. They have 12 returning starters. Wide receiver Eli Moore, 67 catches, 850 yards, 6 touchdowns last year. Their starting center did opt out. Then you got Florida coming off an 11-2 season. They were 28th in scoring offense and 16th pass offense, 7th in scoring defense. They got Kyle Trask, who stepped in last year, played really well, 2,900 yards, 25 touchdowns, 7 picks. This is an upset alert for Florida. I'm going to go Florida, but like I said, Ole Miss, they have a decent offense anyway. Lane Kiffin knows how to get it going. Ole Miss always plays it strong. I'll go UF, but upset alert there. All right, Georgia Southern and Louisiana. This should be actually a really good game. Georgia Southern, they've only played one game so far. They beat Campbell, only 27-26, but they had 33 inactive players in that game. Shea Wertz passed for 53 yards and a touchdown, but ran for 155 and a touchdown. They have a triple option, and that was humming in that game. Whereas Louisiana Lafayette, they are 2-0, but they had to get an overtime win over Georgia State, 34-31. Levi Lewis, 279 passing, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Eli Mitchell, great running back, ran for 164 and 2 touchdowns. They put up 519 yards of offense. I think this will be a really, really close game. I kind of want to go Georgia Southern here. It would be a bit of an upset. I'll go Louisiana just by a little bit, but this is another game that should come down right to the end. All right, then Georgia State and Charlotte. Georgia State and both 0-1. Georgia State, they barely lost to ULL in overtime, 34-31. Quarterback Cornelius Brown, 196 passing, 1 touchdown and a pick, plus 64 rushing yards and a touchdown. Dustin Coates ran for 150 and a touchdown. They put up 419 yards. Charlotte, they had a close game against Appalachian State. Their first game, they lost 35-20, but it was closer than that. Chris Reynolds, not great passing, 11 of 30, 142 picks. Trey Harbison, transferred from Northern Illinois, 87 rushing yards and a touchdown. Defense forced 3 turnovers, and they had a kick return touchdown. I think this will be a fun game. This might be pretty high scoring. I'll give Georgia State the slight edge just because of what they did against Louisiana Lafayette. I guess it's slight edge there, but this another game that should go down to the wire. All right, then you got Kentucky and Auburn, both ranked going into this game. Kentucky was 8-5 last year, 15 returning starters. They have their quarterback back, but they have a graduate transferring Joey Gatewood from Auburn, so we'll see who starts there. They had 3 running backs over 500 rushing yards, all back, so they should have a really good running game. Auburn, 9-4. They only have 7 returning starters, but Bo Nix had a really good freshman season with over 2,500 yards, passing, 16 touchdowns to 6 picks, plus 313 rushing yards and 7 on the ground. Wide receiver Seth Williams, one of the best in the country, 59 catches, 830 yards, 8 touchdowns. He might be a first-round pick. Their linebacker, Chandler Wooten, did opt out. This should be a pretty close game, and I'm going to go Auburn here because UK, we're not sure. Kentucky, we're not sure what they're going to do with their quarterback situation. And like I said, they have 15 returning starters, but I'm going to say Auburn gets that nod there. All right, then you got UCF and ECU. UCF had an awesome win against Georgia Tech, 49-21. Dylan Gabriel passed for 417 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a pick. They had 2 guys go over 100 receiving yards, almost 3. One guy was just 6 yards short. Marlon Williams, 10 catches, 154, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Robinson, a transfer from Oklahoma, 6 catches, 105. They put up 660 yards of offense, 5 turnovers. Their defense forced, plus they blocked the field goal. ECU, this is their first game. ECU is I think will be a surprise team. They only went 4-8, but they have 15 returning starters. Holton, and during the last half of their season last year, the offense really, really got going. Holt Nailers passed for 3,387 yards, 21 touchdowns and 10 picks, plus added 6 rushing touchdowns. Wide receiver C.J. Johnson, 54 catches, 908 yards, and 4 touchdowns. I expect to be both teams scoring a lot, but I still think UCF wins comfortably. They're picked to win by like 25.5. I'm not sure if they'll quite cover that, but I can see UCF winning something like 56-35, something like that. Both teams will kind of score a lot, but UCF will just pretty much score every drive they get. All right, then you got, let's see, Louisville and Pitt. Pretty interesting ACC game. Louisville was 1-1. They lost to 47-34 to Miami, but all their stars had really good games against Miami on offense. Malik Cunningham, 307 passing, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Jamin Hawkins, 164 and a touchdown rushing. Tutu Atwell, 8 catches, 114 and 2 touchdowns. They had 516 yards of offense, but they turned it over 3 times and gave up a bunch of, 1 or 2 big play drives to Miami. Pitt, they are 2-0, but they didn't look great against Syracuse. They went 21-10. Pickett passed for 215, 2 touchdowns, and ran for 1. Defense was really stout. Gave up only 171 total yards. Had 2 turnovers and 7 sacks in that game. This will be pretty even. Louisville's got a good offense. Pitt's got a good defense, but on the other side, I think Louisville's defense should be okay, and Pitt kind of struggles on offense. They're inconsistent, at say the least. Should be close, but I'm going to give Louisville the edge there. Then Georgia Tech at Syracuse. Georgia Tech is 1-1. They beat Florida State 2 weeks ago. They lost to UCF 49-21. Jeff Sims passed for 244, a touchdown, but threw 2 picks. He added 82 rushing yards and a touchdown. They did put up 471 yards of offense, but they turned over 5 times in that game. Syracuse is 0-2. They really didn't do very good against Pitt. They lost 21-10. They had 2 quarterbacks combined for 120 passing yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Defense was okay, 3 sacks, 2 turnovers, but I think Georgia Tech looks pretty strong this year, and I think Georgia Tech should get the victory there. All right, then you got 1AA Camel at Appalachian State. App State was actually upset last week by Marshall. They lost 17-7. Zach Thomas passed for 268, a touchdown and a pick, but they couldn't really get much going outside of that. I think they rebounded in a big way and should take care of Campbell. All right, Florida International against Liberty. FIU, this is their first game. They went 6-7 last year. They only have 9 returning starters, 3 on offense. They got Kalen Wiggins back, who's a really good dual threat. They have a grad transfer, Max Bortenschlager, who started a few games at Maryland the last couple of years. So we'll see what they can get going there. Liberty, they had a really good game against Western Kentucky, beating them 30-24. Malik Willis, who had been at Auburn a few years ago, and I think he was on Last Chance U. He had a great game. Only 133 passing, but ran for 168 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. Joshua Mack at running back ran for 100 yards himself. They ran for 354 yards as a team. I want FIU to win. I'm in Florida, but I think Liberty should be able to take this game with their offense. You got Iowa State and TCU. Iowa State, this is their first game since being upset by Louisiana Lafayette. Purdy was not very good in that game. 16 of 35, 145 and a pick. Breece Hall ran for 103 and a touchdown. That's about all they had on offense. Defensively, they had 3 sacks, but they allowed their special teams is horrible. They allowed a kick return and punt return for a touchdown in that game. TCU, this is their first game. They only have 7 returning starters. Dugan, who is a freshman last year, had a decent year, 2,007 yards, 15 touchdowns, 10 picks. We'll see if he starts. Linebacker Garrett Wallow, 125 tackles. They do have a grad transfer and wide receiver J.D. Spielman from Nebraska. He's a really good one. I think he'd have over 1,000 yards either last year or the year before. So this could be an interesting game, but I'm going to say Iowa State kind of bounces back and gets a victory there. But it could be pretty close. All right, then you got Tulane and Southern Miss. This should be the final game of the noon games. Tulane, they're 1-1. They choked away a game against Navy. They were up 24-0. Allowed Navy to come all the way back, 27-24. Keon Howard, not very good passing, 10 of 25, 108 and a pick. Tajay Spears ran for 119 yards. I think his second straight with over 100 rushing. He had 265 rushing yards, but they could not hold on to that win. Southern Miss, they're 0-2. They lost their first 2 games, kind of close. This one, Louisiana Tech had 4th and goal at the 2-yard line with basically 3 seconds left, and they allowed Louisiana Tech to get it in. Southern Miss lost 31-30. Jack Abraham, 264 passing, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Wide receiver Tim Jones, 8 catches, 160 yards, 2 touchdowns. Defense had 3 sacks in that game. This could be a bit of a shootout. Tulane killed them in the bowl game last year. I'm going to say Tulane probably wins this one again. Unfortunately, Southern Miss has the offense. Tulane has been kind of inconsistent the first couple of weeks, but I think I'm going to give Tulane the edge here. All right, those are the games for the noon games. There was one more, Notre Dame, Wake Forest, that got postponed because Notre Dame had 7 guys test positive for the coronavirus. So that's it. Check out my midday game and primetime games. Peace.